Prayer, why do we neglect it? What can help you pray regularly if you do not understand the importance and power of prayer? Record your prayer sessions. Believers often encourage one another with phrases such as, "I am keeping you in my prayers." It is, however, unfortunate that in many cases, people are only kept in their prayers. In other words, they are not considered outside of these prayers. That is how far their concern, care, and assistance for the person goes and ends. There is no physical action attached to their prayers of intercession. You should have a notepad that not only contains your prayer requests, but also contains action lists. In other words, those things that the Lord has shown you to do, pertaining to the things you prayed for. These notes will help you remember these things. Since God also speaks through a still small voice, it is essential that your spiritual ears be tuned in, even while praying. You must, therefore, not merely listen, but listen carefully for Him speaking to you in prayer. When you pray tonight for your brother, who recently lost his job, God may show you that you need to give him $100 for his household's food necessities. Write it down under today's date then. By regularly making notes, you will recognize how the Lord speaks to you in prayer and gives you answers and guidance in and through prayer. This applies to both minor and major things. The major answers are often described as revelations, because they appear to be of great significance. In Daniel 2 verses 14 to 19, you read of Daniel's desire to tell King Nebuchadnezzar the content and meaning of his dream. After he and his 3 companions prayed for it, the Lord revealed the dream, as well as its interpretation, to Daniel. By telling the king what was revealed to him, the 4 of them and the other wise men of the kingdom were saved from execution. Daniel and his companions were promoted as well, Daniel 2 verses 47 to 49, because what was previously concealed had then been revealed. Many Christians also received major revelations regarding the problems in their various fields of study and work. All they did in terms of prayer was to ask and trust God for a specific or detailed answer. They told God of the difficulties these problems posed, and remained steadfast in prayer. These revelations included answers to scientific, accounting, financial, engineering, mathematical, economic, biological, chemical, and social problems. Be bold when you pray. Ask God to bless you with supernatural wisdom, understanding, knowledge, and major opportunities that many other people would never request of Him. The positive results thereof will definitely serve as evidence of the great power of prayer. James 5 verses 17 to 18 describes how Elijah's earnest, fervent prayers resulted in a drought of 3.5 years, as well as the end of that drought. According to James 5 verse 16, This is a great example of how the effectual fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. If the believer's prayer to God is thus something that can move God to do something so powerful, why do Christians then lack the boldness to pray for great and mighty things? Were any Christians working at NASA, North American Space Association, more than 60 years ago, bold enough to ask God that He would enable the USA to enter outer space and land on the moon? If believers fully grasped the truth of these verses, they would be running to the throne of grace so that they could access God's mighty power. They would have been there constantly, until a particular prayer request was answered. When telling Pharaoh that his dream meant that the 7 years of abundance in Egypt would be followed by 7 years of famine, Joseph made it clear to him that God was the source of this wonderful revelation and its application. It was God who showed Joseph how to gather food and build enough storehouses for the food of the 7 plenteous years. The result was that Egypt had enough food for its own people during the 7 lean years, and was able to supply food to thousands of people from other countries as well. Genesis 41. Some Christians do not realize who it is they are talking to when they pray. Verses such as Numbers 15 verse 41 contain the frequent reminder God gave the Israelites, I am the Lord your God. His dealings with and actions toward them, were not just because he was their God, but also because he was their God. When Bible characters such as Daniel called him my God, it was not because they owned him like the idols were owned by idol worshippers, but rather because they belonged to him. He cannot be broken, stolen, or go missing, and he also does not sleep. They had a personal relationship with him. They did not merely refer to him as our God, but as my God. The closeness of this relationship should even be reflected in your boldness to approach God in prayer with anything.